Hello beer lovers. Today in the Lazy Homebrewer, we're going to talk about Juicy IPAs.
You like the juice, eh?
Ever since the early days of the craft beer movement, IPAs have far and away been the most popular beer style available. Brewers have continued to tinker and innovate with the style over the past 3 decades, and currently there are almost a dozen different subcategories of IPA. The most recent of those is the Hazy or Juicy IPA. The problem with that is that some hazies are not juicy and some juicies are not hazy. For today's conversation, we're going to focus exclusively on Juicy IPAs. So really what we're working with is, I suppose, my own definition of the style. To me, a Juicy IPA should taste like a fresh glass of juice with some carbonation in it. Think mimosa, only better because it's beer. Still love you, mimosa. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a tasting for myself and try some of the locally available Juicy IPAs. I'm going to see if there are some flavor notes that I want to take away and some things that I want to put into my own batch. And then I'm going to come up with an extract recipe to make my own take on a Juicy IPA. Here's our lineup for today's tasting. 5 locally available Juicy IPAs. The first I'm going to try is the Deschutes Fresh Squeezed. Lined up? Yeah. Amber color, definitely not hazy. Almost has an apples and pears flavor to it, tree fruit. Good body on it, good carbonation. Not what I was expecting, definitely not what I was expecting. Most of the juicies tend to be tropical flavors or citrus flavors, and this is more apples and pears. Very fine beer. Not really what I had in mind, but definitely excellent. The second beer is going to be the Ballast Point Aloha Hazy Sculpin. A name like Aloha, it should be tropical. Light, hazy, piney aroma. Piney flavor. Definitely more bitter than I would have expected for a juicy. Tastes more like a grapefruit sculpin than anything. They actually used a wild Belgian yeast for this to add additional tropical flavors and some of the haze. But it drinks more like their regular sculpin than anything. And a great beer, but again, not really what I would call juicy, or not what I was looking for anyway. Okay, our next beer is the New Belgium Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze IPA. Definitely the lightest color of any of them, hazy. Pilsner smell. Not getting any fruit on that. I would not call that a juicy. It is definitely hazy, but I'm not getting any real fruit flavor. Good hop flavor, but nothing I would call either tropical or citrus. Dry, very drinkable, probably not juicy. Excellent beer anyway. Okay. Fourth beer I'm tasting today is the Barrel House Juicy IPA. Light color, slightly hazy. Very light on the nose. Tropical flavors, getting mango. Flavors are very light. Again, not a lot of real juicy flavor there. Okay, this brings us to our fifth and final beer today, the Rogue Bat Squatch. Hazy, looks the most like a glass of juice of anything that I have tried today. Definitely some citrus smell there. Citrus and tropical flavors. That's a pretty excellent combination. This is pretty close to what I'm looking for. So what did I take away from today's tasting? Well, the malt needs to play strictly a supporting role. There was not a malt flavor in any of the beers that I tried today. All of them were somewhere in the 6 to 7% alcohol range, and I think that's just about right. I also learned that the yeast needs to bring more to the party than just fermentation. Most of the beers I tried today had a yeast that added a hazy component as well as a fruit flavor component from the esters that it produces, and I want to make sure that I take that opportunity. I also learned that there are many common hops that were used in most of the beers that I tried today, so I'll be using those as well as a couple more that I know have a good fruit flavor. Last was the addition of flaked oats and wheat to add a silkiness to the beer, again giving it that mouthfeel like a real glass of juice. I'm not going to take you through the brew day with me, but here's the recipe that I came up with.
Who likes the juice?
I like the juice.
You like the juice?
That's what I said.
Juicy, juicy, juice, 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 juice. I love you more than anyone.
If you're interested in the details of that recipe, I will make sure to include them in the video description below. If you're still with me, now would be a good time to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already done so. So here it is, my take on a Juicy IPA. Let's check it out. Hazy amber appearance. Tropical and citrus flavor and aroma. Good body from the flaked wheat and oats. Dry, no malt left. It's an excellent beer. But I would like to talk about the color for a minute. Here's what this beer is supposed to look like. I made a test batch because I've never made a Juicy IPA before now. And the first batch that I made came out looking nice and light. The second batch that we're using right now, as you can see, came out quite a bit darker. Unfortunately, the reason for this is oxidation. Oxidation will darken your beer. I've only had this happen a few times in all the years that I've been brewing. Doing a little research, I figured out that it was probably during the dry hopping. If you add your hops a little too late in the dry hopping, there's not enough CO2 left in the mix to get all that oxygen back out again. It's going to end up darkening your beer. And that's what I think has happened here. It hasn't affected flavor yet, but it's definitely affected color. Hopefully you've learned something or had some fun with us here today as we have explored Juicy IPAs. That's about it here from the Beer Hut. Until next time, this is the Lazy Homebrewer saying, brew what you like and like what you brew.
The juice is good, eh?